Yo, welcome back guys. It's been just over a week since I caught the man flu and I finally feel fully recovered, so let's get the show moving. Have a look at these two astonishing images of Mars taken by an amateur astronomer named Sebastian Voltmer. Sebastian has taken amazing images using his C11 Edge HD telescope. He's even captured some of the clearest images ever taken by an amateur astronomer of the ISS. But these two images of Mars have knocked me sideways and it's just fueled my theory more and more of Mars being alive. And even Sebastian was amazed at these two images of Mars, which has made him beg the question, what's going on with these colours? These aren't just random captures either, these are planned shots taken recently in France during the 3-planet alignment of Mars, Jupiter and Saturn. Mars is said to be at its closest point to Earth during these alignments, making it easier to see Mars through a telescope and the naked eye. But what have we here? You can't deny that this looks like a planet with oceans, a water world, a planet with an atmosphere, weather cycles, possibly an ecosystem growing plant life and vegetation that's creating oxygen, natural CO2, basically all the ingredients to maintain life. So while NASA scientists and astronomers etc. are searching for habitable planets or planets that could support life, are we not seeing it here on our own doorstep? Well, the question arises, would they really keep this information secret? The biggest discovery in the history of mankind, possibly the answer to our own origin, evidence of another civilization or alien life, would they keep this a secret from the world? Well, of course they would. I've said it for years and years and I can't stress this enough. Mars was alive, Mars is alive. Let's rewind the clock back a bit. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, it was believed that there was canals on planet Mars. These were a network of long straight lines in the equatorial regions from 60° north to 60° south latitude on Mars. It was observed by astronomers using early telescopes without photography. They were first described by the Italian astronomer Giovanni Schiaparelli during the alignment of 1877 and confirmed later by other observers. Giovanni called these canali or channels, which was mistranslated into English as canals. The Irish astronomer Charles E. Burton made some of the earliest drawings of these straight line features on Mars, although his drawings did not match Giovanni's, suggesting that the lines had moved in direction. Around the turn of the century there was even speculation that they were engineering works, irrigation canals constructed by a civilization of intelligent aliens indigenous to planet Mars. By the early 20th century, improved astronomical observations by NASA revealed the canals to be an optical illusion. A modern high-tech resolution mapping of the Martian surface by spacecraft shows no such features. So these astronomers were at the peak of their game. Then one of the biggest corporations a century later, NASA, reaches Mars with their first space probes and shuts down these theories. But these astronomers were seeing these channels or canals moving throughout these alignments of the planets, so who do we trust? I'm kind of putting my money on the real independent astronomers who are not owned by a big corporation. So if we are being visited by extraterrestrial life with advanced spaceflight and capabilities, maybe they are closer to home than we think. Because no matter how advanced you are or what type of civilization you have become, traveling the cosmos from galaxy to galaxy, if you are a flesh and blood being, this would still become one of the hardest things to achieve and survive, unless you can bend space and time by creating wormholes with a theoretical warp drive. But before we talk about the capabilities of a warp drive, I just briefly mentioned about type civilizations. Let's take a recap or a reboot from a previous video where I explain these types of civilizations that may be out there. Have you ever heard of something called a Dyson sphere? A Dyson sphere is a hypothetical megastructure that completely encompasses a star and captures a large percentage of its solar power output. Basically, turning your own sun into a megalithic power source. If you can harness the power of your star, you could build machines as big as planets. You could theoretically have the power to move planets. So if any intelligent race is going to outlive extinction due to their star dying, meteor impacts or so forth, you would need to harness this type of energy to move from one star to the next. So let's take a look at 3 stages of development from our current existence to an advanced civilization. The first type is a Type 1 civilization. Here are civilizations that collect all the energy from the sources available on their planet. Among them is the light of the nearest star. For an example, the Earth receives energy from the sun every second. We try to harvest it with solar panels, but the output of this energy every second can be compared to the explosions of several hundred atomic bombs. A civilization of the first type would be able to use it entirely for its own benefit. Mankind does not do this yet, therefore it has yet to even reach the initial stage 1 of development. The second type is the Type 2 civilization. These civilizations make full use of all the energy of the nearest star, not just that which reaches their planet. It was Freeman Dyson who came up with the concept of the Dyson sphere, named after him. Hypothetically, a society of the second type can build a sphere around its home star and use the radiation for its own purposes. Such a civilization will be 10 billion times more intelligent than the first type of civilization. Then there's a Type 3 civilization. These super civilizations use energy of all the stars from their galaxy, each of which has several billion of them. They may do this with Dyson spheres or other more exotic methods. Such a civilization will be 10 billion times more powerful than a civilization of the second type. So then, back to the warp drive. Here is an example of one of the easiest ways to explain this, which is basically science for dummies. We've all heard this. This is from the scene Event Horizon. If you get an A4 piece of paper which represents the visible universe as we know it, place a dot on each side of the paper, you label dot 1 point A and label dot 2 point B. Point A and point B become the longest distance to travel from point to point in a straight line. The paper is representing time and space, so if you can bend the fabric of space, i.e. the paper, from end to end connecting the dots from point A to point B together, you have essentially travelled from one end of space to the other without actually moving an inch. This is theoretically possible, so technically if there is an intelligent civilization a million or 10 million years in advance to us, it's theoretically possible we could be visited by intelligent beings or artificial intelligence existing at any point in the universe. But I believe our ET visitors may not be doing so. They could simply be coming from our brother planet Mars, another planet a stone's throw away in our very own solar system with intelligent life, possibly more advanced than us. This information, this knowledge will be so classified, so top secret, there is no way that they would ever let us mere peasants know about it. I mean, this is all just speculation, just my theories. I also have a theory that Mars was once habitable. I've spoken about this before. The Martians fled their dying planet due to a global catastrophe, nuclear war, and ended up here on Earth, which is the missing link into our DNA, and Mars has since been recovering. Could we be looking at a planet that's been healing for thousands of years? Life has had to start again on Mars from scratch. A prehistoric world with prehistoric life maybe. I wish I had the answers, but my gut feeling tells me life is way more abundant than we think it is. There is activity on the moon, our neighbouring planet looks like Earth's twin, a habitable zone that could support life. The moon, for an example, when we use Google Earth we can literally see a cat or a dog going for a walk. We have orbiters and satellites around the moon mapping the moon also, and we do have a public version of Google Moon. Anybody who is familiar with Google Moon knows there is barely an inch that's clearly visible on Google Moon. It's just layers and layers of airbrushed terrain. We have the technology to see the moon's surface just like we can see the Earth's. Isn't that just proof whatever is on the moon is being deliberately covered up? Let's quickly go back to Mars with an image taken by the Mars Curiosity rover that shows in the distance what I believe to be buildings along the horizon. Right, I'm going to leave it there for today, my little bunch of legends. I hope you enjoyed my tinfoil hat cuckoo crazy show. Don't forget to give us a like and a share, and I'll be back before you know it, so stay tuned.